Navy veteran facing an uncertain future found hope in an unlikely friend.
As Rob Krieger explains, a visit to a local animal shelter changed his life forever and is now laying the foundation to help many more.
People have relied on dogs for ages.
They've always kind of been our helpers for over 35,000 years.
Padding a foundation for a bond that creates a keen understanding of how we live.
Dogs can hear your heartbeat outside your chest, can smell your pheromonal response in real time.
Trainer Evan Stewart knows that builds unwavering loyalty.
They give us that best friend, that constant support in our lives.
They can be the glue in our lives, but often dogs need us just as much.
We have about 180, 200 animals under our care.
North Shore Humane Society houses dogs year-round, heartbreakingly lonesome pets, seemingly desperate for a home and a family.
And we do everything we can to get them adopted, but sometimes it doesn't happen.
So volunteers spend time with the pups, walks, socializing, and sometimes an overnight visit.
He was in the shelter for 6 months. I said, wow, we hit the jackpot.
Maria Opp's lotto ticket was Kimber, a stray looked over until Ops and her husband, Lawrence, who goes by Otter, started volunteering at the shelter.
The first weekend I was there, I ran into Kimber, who was named Teddy at the time. We believe him to be a Dutch Shepherd.
They just bonded very quickly, and they played a lot. And Lawrence would, Otter would take out other dogs, but he would play more with Kimber.
It was a bond Maria was desperate to see in her husband, a 28-year Navy veteran forced into early retirement.
I remember the doctor coming in and asking me when I was retiring.
Otter spent nearly 3 decades in Naval Special Operations, 14 deployments, 6 of them into hazardous duty combat areas, ultimately reaching the rank of Chief Warrant Officer. It's where he met Maria 27 years ago. The Navy is his life. But after a mid-air collision, a 30-foot fall, and other injuries sustained during special operations, his career and his life came to a screeching halt.
We're not allowing you to go back to an operational command. You have mild to severe TBI. You're suffering from vestibular balance disorder, your loss of hearing, and cognitive memory issues.
His future in the Navy fading, Otter's regimen of medicines and now hounding disabilities gripped his life.
I was suffering from depression, anxiety, frustration. I was withdrawing from my last deployment to Iraq and Syria in 2018. I had started having mood issues, withdrawing from functions with family.
These last couple of years has been tough. He struggles with his disabilities, but also his depression and his PTSD.
Maria feared the darkness consuming her husband as Otter faced a grim reality that grips service members just like him.
The thing that haunts me the most are all the deaths. I started really dwelling in thinking of my lost colleagues and teammates.
According to varying statistics, more than a dozen service members commit suicide every 24 hours, a stark number that's often estimated as high as 22 a day.
Last year, a good friend of mine, a young man that I put through selection, great husband, great wife, great children, wound up succumbing to suicide due to pain and suffering. In losing all of these teammates, it starts to take a toll on you. It starts making you question your own purpose.
In the veteran community, we know that 22 a day is a real thing, right? And one of the things that we are really trying hard to do is stem the tide of losing our men and women from service who come home, right? And they're different than they left.
Something I had to give, and I knew I couldn't be the person, his out, no matter what I did. Something else had to happen.
That something else just so happened to need a little help too, and he found it beneath Otter's uneasy balance.
I had gotten dizzy a couple times, and he came into the picture and got really close to me and just started bracing me as I wobbled. And one of the ladies comes out and says, you know, you can take the dogs home as a volunteer for the weekend.
Eager to foster, Maria started the ball rolling, even as Otter refused.
I knew. I knew if I signed him out, he was not coming back to the shelter, so I knew that.
By Valentine's Day, Teddy had a new home, a new name, Kimber, and a new purpose. Otter did too.
He picked me. I'd like to say I picked him from the Humane Society, but he shopped for the right owner.
Almost immediately, Otter and Kimber started training together at their home in Picayune, Mississippi. Ambitious to take the next step, formally certifying Kimber as a service animal, they enlisted Evan Stewart, owner of KPro K9. He drew parallels from Otter and Kimber's story to his own journey with his dog Phantom.
He is my PTSD service dog. Let's go. Good boy. I did 2 tours in Afghanistan, kind of at the beginning of the war, and came home a little different than I left. And Phantom really helps me thrive in our communities without the worries that come with my PTSD specifically.
Stewart put Kimber on a training plan, tasks he and Otter would complete at home, restaurants, even the store.
Kimber was excelling at everything we were asking him to do.
Within months, Kimber was certified as a mobility service dog, specially trained to provide critical support.
Kimber is trained that he can support, so brace. As I go to get up, I can put my full weight on him. He also braces in between my legs as I'm losing my balance, almost like having a cane, but instead of having a clumsy cane, I have a K9.
That support goes beyond just the physical aspect. As their bond strengthened, Kimber's presence helped brighten that once bleak view of Otter's future.
Such a big help, you know, with his depression and everything. Kimber just changed his life. He's changed our lives, but he's just more than just a dog.
Over the course of the year, his prescription meds dwindled from 12 to just 4. It appeared Kimber was just what Otter's doctor ordered.
He said Kimber was the best medicine that he couldn't prescribe a better medication.
By his side, Kimber goes to physical therapy, work, lunch. He even has a special job when they pick up meds at the drugstore.
I'll give him my medication bag with the receipt, and he carries it just so confidently out of the store all the way to the vehicle.
Here's a veteran that needed just a little extra support in his daily life to thrive in his community. And with a good dog by his side, he's been able to do just that.
In fact, Kimber's impact in Otter's life created a ripple many felt.
When I first saw the training, how far Kimber had evolved in such a short period of time, I was absolutely blown away.
Scott Bernier is the CEO of North Shore Humane Society, where Kimber was passed over for months, and where dozens of other good dogs longed for their own connection right now.
It hit me that there was an opportunity to take animals that are in the shelter, partner with somebody like KPro, and turn them into service dogs.
Inspired by these two, Bernier and Stewart created the Shelter to Service program, identifying dogs like Miss B, a recent rescue, for advanced service training, effectively eliminating the need for a specially bred dog that can cost tens of thousands of dollars.
We want a dog who really wants to be loved and be in relationship with others. And there is no breed type to that. That iteration of a dog comes in all breeds, all shapes, all sizes.
Miss B is the first graduate of the program. Paired with Navy veteran Amy Weiser just weeks ago, the program is already benefiting the community and clearing space to rescue more animals.
You are not only saving a dog's life in this particular situation with our Shelter to Service program, but you are most often at least enabling a life to thrive in a human being, if not saving their life for sure.
As Otter faces retirement in March,
if I can't take Kimber with me, it's not worth doing.
His confidence in what life will look like outside of the Navy is growing.
With him in my life, our lives are better.
Maria sees that firsthand. For her, Kimber is much more than a cane or medicine. He's a rescue who needed a little help, but offered a lifeline when her husband needed it most.
There was times he just struggled to get out of bed, struggled to get off the couch. And with Kimber, he had somebody else. You know, Kimber relied on him. They relied on each other. And I believe they saved each other.
Wow, what a story. The North Shore Humane Society plans to train at least 4 service dogs this year and ramp up the program next year. A similar service dog can cost as much as $50,000, but thanks to KPro K9 and the Humane Society, they'll be able to prepare the shelter to service animals with people in need for only about $1,000. The Humane Society hopes to fund an underwriter to continue to fund and eventually expand the program.